Aloha mai kākou. My name is Alana Kanahele, and the island that I chose to do a study on is Australia. I decided to do Australia because I really wanted to know more about it as well as see the types of issues that is happening or occurring there, which brings me to my focus that I'm going to be talking about, which is environmental issues. This map, as you can see, is the map of Australia. I will be discussing it later on throughout my presentation. But for now, as an introduction, Australia is located southeast of Asia. It's a part of Oceania, and it's between Indian and South Pacific Ocean. Its population is currently 23 million people, and it's approximately 2.97 million square miles. It's considered as the world's largest island, but the smallest continent, and it's also considered the sixth largest nation after Russia, Canada, China, US, and Brazil. Australia has an estimate of 27,700 plant species, and the tallest trees are located in Western Australia. It's also known for its world's largest coral reefs, also known as the Great Barrier Reefs, and it stretches more than 2,000 kilometers along the Queensland coastline, and it has over 400 different kinds of coral. As you can see on the pictures at the bottom, it's all a part of the Great Barrier Reefs. So this is a map of Australia. It consists of 6 states: Western Australia, South Australia, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, and 2 territories: Northern Territory and Australian Capital Territory. So some fun facts. Australia has over 200 different languages and dialects. It's surrounded with beautiful beaches, rock formation, etc., such as like scenery. As you can see from this picture, it has beautiful scenery. And its legal age to consume alcohol is at the age of 18. For a quick history, in 1770, Captain Cook claimed Eastern Australia for Britain, and this was called New South Wales. In 1851, there was a gold rush in Victoria that ended up bringing new settlers into Australia. And to show you the amount of the increasement of the population, it was at least approximately 430,000, and it ended up increasing to 1.2 million by 1861. So it kind of shows you that the gold rush actually brought in more settlers to migrate towards Australia. In 1850, there was the first railroad that was built. However, railroads didn't boom until the late 19th century, and it would run over 10,000 miles by 1891. And as we learned from last lecture or the previous 2 lectures from class, we learned that South Australia was used as a bombing area for target practice for the military in 1953 of October. As you can see from this picture, this is a picture of a stamp, and this is actually a significant landmark to Australia. It's a kind of a commemorative stamp, and it says that it's the opening of submarine telephone communication to Tasmania, as you can see from the lines that the lady is holding. And every time they issue this, it's only for a limited amount of time, so it's not always going to be there. And, you know, it's just going to be, it's kind of limited. Now, to talk about what my focus is about, is environmental issues. Unlike any other place, there's always different types of issue, and in Australia, those types of issues are invasive species, such as the cane toads, which are very poisonous, and they can cause harmful to any crops. We have land clearing that affects our native vegetation, the ecosystem, as well as if, as you can see in the back, there's like a clear vegetation. If the weather starts to rain really, really hard, and then it will start to have the soil to erode, so it can cause erosion. Climate change, as we know now that the ocean tends to get warmer and corals can't really handle warm water. So this kind of causes dangers towards the coral reefs. And we all know that coral reefs are a vital piece of the marine ecosystem. Ocean dumping, which is another major cause, because half of the debris that ended up on the beaches as well as in the ocean is being eaten by marine animals. And once these marine animals eat it, they tend to consume a lot to where it can actually kill them. Overfishing, as you can see, overfishing does cause a huge depletion in the fish in our fisheries, as well as to the marine environment, to other animals that's basically eating fish, but now that they don't have the overfishing, kind of takes it away from them, as well as their food supply. And lastly, oil spills, which kind of causes our beaches to have oil on them, as well as affect the mammals who are swimming in it and maybe covered in oil. So it kind of affects our marine environment as well as ecosystem. However, the one most environmental issue that is actually occurring in Australia is fires. There's tend to be a lot of fire reports that is happening in Australia, and this is one of their main environmental issue. And as you can see from my map here, this is Australia, and it labels as fire seasons. So we have winter and spring, which is like the yellow area. We have spring over here, spring and summer. And by summer, as you can see, is red, which kind of indicates that in these areas, it's prone to have more fires that might be occurring. Which now that I see, there is fires that's occurring in Western Australia, Tasmania, and all of these areas right here. So it's kind of shows you that these are the areas that are kind of highly affected to have more fires occurring. And so some of the reports that I found is that since January 2015, there have been over 3,000 brush fires only in Australia. And Western Australia is facing the most experience of brush fires. And only in that area, there was 1,000 brush fire reports, about 85,000 hectares that was actually damaged. And they actually experienced at least two separate fires burning at the same time. So Western Australia tends to get more of the fires that's occurring there. In Tasmania, they also had a blaze and ended up losing at least 100,000 acres. And other areas that are affected are New South Wales, Northern Territory, Australian Capital Territory, Victoria, and South Australia as well. So some of the results is that in South Australia, at least 11,000 hectares and farmland got damaged and burned. It threatened at least 19 communities. 13 firefighters suffered a lot, or suffered major injuries. At least 26 homes were destroyed, and 1,000 properties had no power. And this happened in January of 2015. In Western Australia, in Perth, they had two twin brush fires. 59 homes were destroyed, 29 homes were damaged, power lines were burnt and damaged, and at least 12 people had to be taken to the hospital due to the brush fire. And as you can see in this picture, this is actually a bridge that collapsed because of the brush fire that occurred here. And this happened in February. And in Tasmania, there were 70 homes that were affected and covered by a lot of smoke. 700 hectares of land were damaged and burned. And they had to have at least 15 tankers and 7 aircrafts and 2 fixed-wing planes in order to battle this fire. And this also happened in March. As you can see, I gave you reports of one happening from each month of this year. Now let's actually talk about what starts the fires that occurs in Australia. Most of it comes from climate change, because the temperature is increasing and rising. It causes the earth to be warmer, and most of the temperatures that's in Australia rises to at least 40 degrees Celsius. Another idea is weather conditions such as wind, as we all know that wind can bring fires and start small spot fires that occur and spreads out from there. Lightning is another cause to lighting airbrush fire. There's also accidents, such as when vehicles crash into a bush and it tends to light the bush and it just creates a fire spark. And I remember reading this one article of a man that ended up getting into an accident and he kind of lightly ended up banging into a bush, but his truck or his car ended up catching fire. The bush ended up engulfing the whole car. So yeah, it can actually cause fires to spread from there. There's also human carelessness, such as cigarettes, where people don't want to put out their cigarettes or they just throw it down, and it can also cause fires. But the most thing that I see that is happening is actually arson that is occurring. I found that in Western Australia, 34 total people, including 30 boys under the age of 17, were charged of arson, of lighting a fire, which ended up expanding and causing brush fire and, threatening a lot of communities. In New South Wales, a father and son started a fire to cover up a drug laboratory. In Sydney, in the Blue Mountain area, there was an illegal outdoor drug lab that started the fire. And this could have been as an accident. It could have been like just something that happened because it is a drug lab. Now, what is actually being done about all these fires that's occurring? And what I found is that there are ideas to start new housing standards for areas prone to brush fires such as Victoria, Western Australia, Tasmania. However, this will cause housing expenses to increase, but they really want to put the safety for the people and make sure that everyone is safe, because they are in the areas that are prone to have fires to occur. And they actually want to try and stop building flammable houses in or near fire-prone brush areas. So this shows that they really want to be careful of what material they want to use, what they're building with that actually is able to be flammable. In Australia, they actually banned fire, and it's just one of a great idea to be on a cautious side and be able to know that at least there is a step, or that this is the progress of how to eliminate the threat or the issue at hand. And for all the other environmental issue, a process is actually not a process, but a solution is actually in progress right now as they try to figure out more of what to do. Now, let's talk about what did we learn from this presentation. So we learned that Australia is filled with history. It has its world's great barrier reefs. It has great beaches, sceneries, and its environmental issues include overfishing, ocean dumping, climate change, invasive species, and its number one issue is it's very prone to fires. Most of its causes goes from natural, which is like lightning, as well as to unnatural carelessness, such as arson, or just people just want to start a fire, trying to hide up something such as like a drug lab. Some possible solutions is having new housing standards, being able to keep people safe, and at least banning fires in certain areas where it will help eliminate the issue, or at least decrease the amount of fires that's happening. As well as they're planning on a better solution to help fix the other types of issues that is occurring in Australia. And lastly, these are articles. If you're interested, please go ahead and read it. I talked about it before, but if you're really interested and you want to learn more, please go ahead and just click on our URL. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.